Hi, and welcome to part two of Fred and Leah. Monday, the 4th of September 1939, Monk Weymouth, England. Leah sang as time goes by as she did the washing. Even when the darkest clouds are in the sky, you mustn't sigh and you mustn't cry. Spread a little happiness as time goes by. She sang it to herself with the optimism of someone trying to convince herself that everything would be fine. But she felt herself struggling and her head throbbed. She decided to turn the wireless on and listen to the gramophone records they played on the BBC Home Service in between the monotonous news and announcements. Once the wireless had warmed up, she heard the baritone of one of her favourites, Nelson Eddy, singing the Mounties from Rosemary. She was trying to ignore her tiredness. She had woken up at 3 a.m. with a nosebleed and struggled to get back to sleep. The street outside her window had seemed busy with passing fire engines and a strange man walking up and down, who she assumed must be an air raid warden. Jim was hanging around her wanting to help with laundry. The dolly stick she used to agitate the clothes in the tub fascinated him. She let him try to turn the handle of the mangle, but the handle would escape from his grasp at the zenith of its turn, and it was too heavy when there were clothes on it. Leah had her hands full trying to wake the dolly stick while keeping Jim away from the hot water and the copper. She thought that there would be no point making Sunday roast anymore once Fred went away to France. She thought about his suggestion of going back to Sunderland to be close to her family and wondered whether she could spend Sunday afternoon at her dad's house. He could do with company now that Mum was gone and all the children were married off. Even young Beatty had married Isaac and moved to Billingham. The house must seem empty now that all 12 of them had gone and moved out. When she got Jim to sleep, Leah sat in the living room next to Fred and opened the old shoebox she had brought down from the bedroom. "What are you doing?" Fred asked. "I thought it might be a good idea to sort through the photographs and pick up a few to take with me in case the house is destroyed by a fire." Fred sighed. "Cheer up, love," he said. "Worse things happen at sea." Leah couldn't shake her melancholy. Her headache hadn't gone away. She'd had it all day, despite taking her aspirin. "Look at this," she said, showing Fred a photo. "Nice," said Fred without paying proper attention. "It's humph," Leah said in a tone which let Fred know she wasn't happy about his lack of interest. Humph had died in an accident at the pit when Leah was 18. "Sorry, love." "I remember it well. My dad bought his shop with a compensation." "I know." "Have I told you before?" "Once or twice," Fred smiled. Leah rolled her eyes, set the photo aside, and moved on to the next one. "Oh, look, Catherine is in this one." She waved the photo at Fred, who feigned interest. "She was 14 when the flu took her," Leah mused as she studied the image. The photos of Catherine and Humph also reminded Leah of the brother she had never known, because he had died before she was born. He had been 2 years old. Leah supposed she should think herself lucky. Maybe Fred was right. Maybe worse things did happen at sea. There was a picture of her mother. 4 years had passed already since her death. Leah missed her. In the photo, her mother was standing next to her father. "I do worry about Dad, you know," she said as she showed Fred the photo. "Why?" "The way he wheezes. I worry he might not be long for this world." "That's what you get for working down pits," said Fred. "All that coal dust." The next photo was of Leah's sister Bessie, with her husband and their 4 children. "This must be been taken around the time Mum died. Look, Lydia was just a baby. There are Audrey, Ray, and Joe. And here's one of Becca and her husband and their two, Reby and Bull, taken at young Bill's christening. I, I remember And we'd not been married long, eh, love? Ah, here's Beatty, look. Do you know where this was taken? Fred shook his head. When she came to Leeds to visit. Ah, Leeds, Fred smiled. The naffy. You came in because the Woodbournes were cheap. And you used to always tell me I should give 'em up. Those things smell terrible. They're cheap. Typical Yorkshireman. What do you mean? Fred pretended to be offended. I used to take you out. To Harry Ramsden's. What's wrong with Harry Ramsden's? Nothing, she relented. It was very nice. The train fare to Guiseley cost a fair bob, I can tell you. Last to the big spenders. But it was worth it. Yes, delicious. Leah pulled a postcard from the box. Look, it's the naffy. She showed it to Fred. Ah, the Tudor-style tavern. There's a couple of blokes in the photo. Don't think I know them. Fred laughed as he squinted at the photo. Look at those comfy seats in the lounge and the theatre ballroom. Fred read the caption. I remember those upholstered chairs under the stairs, Leah pointed as she took the postcard back. They were happy days. Beatty came down to stay for a weekend and I showed the sights of Leeds. You know how to live, Fred joked. Ah, what is it, love? We were happy in those days. Aren't you happy now? Fred sounded offended. Leah placed an apologetic arm on his hand on his arm. It's just that since Jim arrived, I've responsibility now, and I'm running a household. I didn't need to worry about bills and cleaning and meals in those days. I hadn't appreciated how much Mum did when she was alive until my turn to don me pinny and scrub the steps, do the washing, cook meals, wash the dishes, make the beds, make the fire, take out the dust and ashes. Worse things happen at sea, I know, Leah interrupted. I've always dreamt of a cottage in the country with a beautiful garden full of flowers. But right now I'm glad we have this small backyard. I don't know how I would manage with all the weeding on top of what I'm doing now. And there's another one on the way. Look, that's our wedding photo, Fred said, pointing to the box. She took it out and looked at it. You'd better behave yourself when you're in France. You'll forget all about us with those French girls around. Don't be silly. You know I'm not like that. And even if I was, I've got Jack to keep an eye on me. Wednesday, 2nd of October 1939. The Maginot Line, France. Jack was leading the men in the sing-song. Now imagine me on the Maginot Line, sitting on the man in the Maginot Line. Now it's turned out nice again, the army life is fine. Fred was glad the men were in good spirits, but he missed Leah and Jim, and wondered what they might be doing at the moment. He was sure now he would miss Jim's birthday, and he wished he hadn't promised Leah he would be back by Christmas. Hello? An old Frenchman approached the platoon. Fred thought he might be a veteran of the last war. Bonjour! It was the only word Jack knew in French, and the villager chuckled at his mispronunciation. What do you think of our defences? The old man asked. Very impressive, Fred said. But we'll have to see if they're sufficient to contain the Germans. Oh, do not worry, I have absolute confidence in the defences of the Maginot Line. The old man smiled. Fred wished he could be as optimistic as the Frenchman. You know that this war has been organised by the international bankers, Jack told the Frenchman, who appeared confused by the accusation. Come on, Fred said to his corporal. We need to get the men back to the trucks. International bankers, Jack shouted back towards the old man. They're the ones who'll profit from it. I wish you'd keep your politics to yourself, Fred chuckled as they climbed back into the truck. The transport left the village for the muddy landscape, punctuated by a few lines of thin trees. Bit sparse, isn't it? Said Jack. Still recovering from last war, soon it'll be facing a new one, Fred lamented. I don't want to wish a war to arrive, said Jack, but all this waiting around is very frustrating. Half the time we're getting the men to dig trenches and then getting them to fill them in again. We've been laying telephone lines and camouflage positions, Fred reminded his corporal. But we spend days digging ground for it to become waterlogged, and all the time with the enemy watching a few hundred yards away. We're watching each other. Why? So that we can work out whether they're building up the forces ready for an attack. Come off it, Jack, Fred laughed. You spent most of your time sunbathing and playing cards. Cheeky bugger. It's getting too cold and damp for sunbathing now. Don't forget I'm your superior. Why can't we fire at them, Sarge? Jack offered a mock salute. We've been training the men all summer to fire the Vickers. The Germans are over there, and we're not allowed to shoot at the buggers. It's not so much fun when they start firing back at you, Fred reminded him. Can't be any worse than working in the co-op, Fusilier next to Jack chipped in. It's an adventure. Fred and Jack had had their fair share of conflict in India and China, and Fred wondered whether that was the kind of adventure that the Fusilier was looking for, and whether he would still want it once he had found it. It's almost noon. Fred showed Jack his watch. Ah, yes. Time for the daily raid, said Jack, looking to the sky. Sure enough, as soon as the sound of German planes was heard, and under Jack's direction, the platoon began singing. Run, rabbit, run, 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 run. Don't give the farmer his fun, fun, fun. He'll get by without his rabbit pie. So run, rabbit, run, run, run. The men in his platoon were imagining the Germans running away as they sang the song. That they were the farmers and the Germans the rabbits. It wasn't just the young Fusilier who was chomping at the bit for some action. Come back again soon for the next part of Fred and Leah. You can like this video somewhere, I don't know, down there or down there, I don't know. And if you subscribe, again, down there or down there, I don't know where it is, then you'll get a notification when I post the next part and you won't miss anything. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.